If you make music on an iOS device, such as an iPhone or an iPad, chances are pretty good you've needed a synthesizer. If you've needed a synthesizer, chances are pretty good you've come across one created using AudioKit. I actually spoke with Matthew Fecher about this a lot on the most recent episode of Second Pass. I'll put a link to that in the description. But there is a new AudioKit synthesizer on the block, and it is unlike any other synth. The keyboard company Roland is most famous for its iconic Roland Juno synthesizer, the 6, the 60, and the 106, but there was another one that was made around the same time called the Roland Jupiter. There's a few desktop plug-in versions of the Jupiter, nothing on iOS until now. This is the AudioKit Super J8 Jupiter 8 synthesizer, and I'm so excited to be messing around with it. Let's jump in and see what it does. Some quick housekeeping for this video. I'm using an iPad Mini 6. I love my iPad Mini 6. It is fantastic. Perfect size for what I do. I love it, I love it, I love it. Typically I do use an Apple Pencil, but for this video, I'll be using my Magic Mouse. Just drag the cursor over from my desktop onto my iPad so you can see what I'm doing. I'll be using AUM as my workstation of choice. I'm going to send J8 through some effects later on in the video. You can check the timestamps down below for when that starts. Getting AUM set up is super easy. You're welcomed with this screen. All you do is click plus, audio, up on top here, audio unit extension. You find your thing that you're going to be using. Here's that Juno. I have a link to that in the description as well if you want a Juno synthesizer using AudioKit. But here is J8. So that loads, then you click on it, and there is what you're looking for. Let's see what we have here up along the top. There's just a couple of panels. There's the Jupiter 8 panel here with the LFO, VCO, and VCA. With these AudioKit synths, if you just click on these things, it'll change the secondary panel to a different panel. So here's VCO, here's effects, and you can click that again to change the second panel to something different. Yes, here's the effects. You got your unison, chorus, reverb, ARP, delay, autopan, compressor. Here's the envelope, your attack, decay, sustain, release. There's 2 of them, which is pretty cool. You got your LFO page and that sequencer again. Right in the middle in this top bar, you have your presets, which there are 500, 600, I think. On the left side over here, you can see who created these presets. You can just look at all the presets. Or to the right of the preset bar, there are these dice, and you can pull up a random preset by hitting that. I'm just going to set up some routing here within AUM. I have a Novation launch key, and I want that to be able to play the synth. So I'm going to send that here by clicking on those boxes where they cross in the MIDI routing matrix. And now, there we go. Helps if I do the right one. Now we have sound. Also going to throw a limiter on here because this app gets kind of loud. Over here further on the right, you have this main panel, which this will just bring you back to these settings. And then you have the touch pads. This is kind of like a Korg Chaosillator type deal. So you can see that's a lot of fun to play with, very interactive. You can also click and drag on it. Then this next icon up here, you have mod wheel destination if you want to map the pitch and mod wheel to other stuff. And then if you click the information tab, you have MIDI mapping as well, which is really cool. In AUM, if you wanted to map parameters to certain things, you just click on this 3-line menu, then you click on this one, and this will bring up all of the mappable parameters within AUM. So I could click on this, hit learn, and then on my MIDI keyboard down here, turn one of these. This should now affect the filter cutoff. So if I go back over here, oh no, it remembers So right here on the right, I can see that it actually is remembering all of the things that I had mapped for my no talking performance video. So I'm just going to throw these away and add edit mapping. So here I wanted the cutoff. This is how you do it within the app. I want that to be 21. 21. There we go. So now I have CC 21. Controlling the filter cutoff. So that's cool. You can do that for any parameter within the app. And then, of course, in the LFO window, you can send these wherever you want. This one here is controlling the sweep of the filter cutoff. The second LFO here, we can send this anywhere we want. We could send this to auto pan depth. We can also send it to a secondary location. So we could send this to auto pan rate. We can turn on LFO 3 and send that somewhere. Let's send that to Bit Crusher. So that's just stuff that you can do with the LFOs. Let's take a look at some of these presets and mess around with them a little bit. Like I said, there are 10 banks of 50. Let's go to category. Let's look at ARPs and sequences. Throw on chorus. Add some more unison voices. Turn on reverb. You can see it just gets really fun. So these are still just the built-in effects. This app gets pretty fat. Sounds like it'd be a good candidate for the built-in delay. Some really fun sounds in there. As you can hear, it's just a really expressive synthesizer. Here's some sound effects. These are always cool to listen to. Well, let's feed this some MIDI and play around with a few other parameters. So I'm going to put in a MIDI channel. MIDI goes on the left. I'm loving ChordJam for chords lately. So we'll hook up ChordJam and J8 in the matrix here. So there's ChordJam. And now we can go in here and hit play and generate some chords. Let's change the key to F. Let's go to keys. Turn the compressor on. See, this is nice. All right, let's go into here. Let's put some effects on it. Let's do something like Wavebox. After that, we can put in Lo-Fi AF. With this preset that I like. You can find this preset at the Field Tone Audio Patreon. Fauve is such a cool app. We can put a delay after this. Let's do something like Other Desert Cities. Then we can do a reverb at the end here. That's kind of how I would do some sound design with the Jupiter 8. definitely check out Super J8. It is available now on the App Store. It's just a really fun, really easy to use synthesizer that I think everyone should have, and it's the only Jupiter emulator on the App Store. Check out my interview with Matthew Fecher, the developer of Super J8, on Fieldtone Audio's Second Pass podcast. Link in the description if you want to watch it here on YouTube, or you can check it out wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you to Matthew for sending this my way. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk soon.